Hi, and welcome to this presentation on the Purdue OWL and how to use it for research. So the Purdue OWL, the online writing lab, is a great resource for you to use for anything having to do with writing. It's credible because it comes from Purdue University. It's updated very frequently. And so it's a great resource for you to use if you ever have any questions regarding anything writing based. When I went to the Purdue OWL, so if I go home, this is what it looks like. So if you just type in Purdue OWL, this is where you will be brought. And if you notice, there's all kinds of information about general writing, research and citation, job search writing, etc. So there's lots of things here. We are most concerned with the APA guide. The link that's connected to the course will bring you right to this page. And I'm just going to do a quick little overview as to how this website works because it is so overwhelming. It is massive. But in the future, you may be asked to write a research paper. And if you have this website, you can do that. So a couple of things. We are using APA style, which you'll notice is here. But you also notice that listed below, you see other types of writing styles. And that all has to do with research. So it's important for you when you ask your instructor, when you're assigned a research essay, ask what style they'd like it written in, if it's APA or MLA, Chicago, something else, because that becomes important because the rules for each style is just a little different. We are concentrating, again, as I mentioned, on just APA. And so I'm going to give you just a quick walkthrough as to what you'll see. So you first see APA style and introduction, and that's just this first little paragraph. The APA overview and workshop is here. And if I click on that, it's going to give me some information about what APA style is, why I should use it, who uses APA. So if you're in nursing, business, or the social sciences, chances are likely that you're going to always be using APA. And then it talks about the format. You don't have to worry about any of this because that will be something that we'll talk about in Comp 2. This isn't a real formal APA paper. You're just citing using the APA format. So we don't need footnotes and endnotes. You don't need that kind of thing or that stuff. You don't need headings. But we will take a look at this general APA format. But I'm going to move up here. And what I would use are these buttons along the side. So once we get to the side here, we'll click on APA formatting and style guide, and you see this whole long list of things that shows up. And again, we're not going to use all of these, but I'm going to click through just a couple. So the general format, again, not something that you really have to take a close look at because you don't need any of these sections. Except for, actually they don't even give it to you on this page. They have switched things around a little bit. So general format would be if you had a title page or an abstract, which you don't need to have at this point. So you can read that if you'd like. You will be doing in-text citations, and you also will be looking at these reference list pieces. So we'll start with in-text citations. This is a great page to read if you've never done in-text citing before. In-text citing is when you find the citation, so the author information in an APA style, it's the date that's important. So you'll find author date information within the paragraph. It might be in parentheses at the end of the sentence, or it might be found just within. There's two different ways to cite, and that is gone over on that PowerPoint. So if you read over this, it'll tell you what you need, how to capitalize, because things like that are important. I highly recommend that you read this and take a look. If you have any questions, please definitely let me know. When we get to the in-text citations for authors and authors, you will notice, so this is an example of an in-text citation. And if you notice, if I have two authors, this is what it should look like. Research by Wegner and Petty, and then the year, and supports, ... So that counts as my citation. If I put it at the end of the sentence, it looks like this. It's in parentheses with a comma and the year. So you'll notice that it'll give us two options. You choose one of those. This if you write it within the sentence, this if you put it at the end. I would highly recommend that all of you write this way because you're using quotes. So you'll want to use the in-text citation, not the parenthetical. So you'll want to use embedded quotes. And then if you scroll down, you'll see if I have 3 authors, this is what it should look like. If I have an unknown author, this is what it should look like, an organization, etc. So it's a handbook. You find the one that's applicable to you, and you insert that information. So that's in-text citations. Because you're doing in-text citing, you then need to have a references list. Now the in-text is within the body of the essay. The references list is at the end of the essay. And that's a list of all of the sources that were quoted in your essay. And if I scroll down, if you notice, I'm on the basic rules here. And with basic rules, it gives me a whole bunch of bullets. Read that. Tells you that a reference list needs to be alphabetized. It tells you that they're indented in the opposite way of paragraphs. It's called a hanging indent. It'll tell you what needs to be capitalized and what doesn't, what needs to be italicized and what doesn't. And so you'll want to pay particular attention to those kinds of things. When you get to the next pages, author and authors, articles and periodicals, books, etc., electronic sources, what you need to look at, you don't need to look at all of these lists. You need to find the source that you used. Most of us will be using electronic sources. You click on it, and you simply follow the format. So if I'm quoting a web page or a piece of online content, I include the last name of the author with a comma, initials, year, month, and date in parentheses. Title of the web page is italicized. And that's kind of like, if you think about a magazine article or a newspaper article, that's what you looked up. The site name is the larger entity that information is housed in. So think of this as the magazine title. This is the magazine article. And so if I pull an article from CNN, my site name is CNN, the title of the article is this. And then I need to include the URL. It's really important that you include the punctuation as it is listed on the example, because that's very important. Notice that the title of the page isn't capitalized, and that's weird. I can't explain why, but it's just not. So make sure that your title of the page and also of the site is not capitalized. If you're missing any of this information, let's say you don't have the month and the date, but you have the year, then you just include the year. If it doesn't have a site name, you don't include the site name. Here's an example of one of those done. Tells you what to do if you have a group author. Tells you what happens if there's no author. So it really goes through and gives you all of those different options. If it's a Wikipedia article, it looks a little bit different. If it's an online scholarly journal, it looks a little bit different. And so you look at the option that fits your source. If it's a book, I will click on that and it will show me how to cite correctly a book. And again, there's all these different options. So use the one that benefits you. If you're questioning about authors and how to put those in there, you can click on that link as well. So you work through those as you need to in order to get the information that you need. So if you have any questions about this and about the website, please let me know. Understand that Citation Machine is not a perfect science. So if you're using Citation Machine, you can't assume that it's going to be correct because it's not always updated. It's only as good as the information that's been entered. And so sometimes that's not good information. So I really encourage you to at least double check. Use Citation Machine if you need to, but then double check it against this Purdue OWL. So I hope you have a great experience in researching and figuring out how to cite and include a references list.